Hey everyone, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm. I assume you can hear the airplane. Don't know if you can see it way up there in the sky, but it's there. Just in case you didn't know why we call it Plainview Farm. But there's a couple things I'm going to do in today's video, starting with the cows. I think that'll work. Just kidding. It's not actually connected to anything. I've just got this temporary wire running across the driveway here to get our bluff in on the cows. As you can see, the grass in the yard is starting to get a little bit tall. And as someone who absolutely despises mowing the yard, well, I guess I don't despise mowing the yard, I just don't really like it. One of the things I like to do from time to time is let the cows in the yard. The goats, not so much. I don't want the goats to tear things up. They have a habit of getting into stuff they shouldn't get into. So I don't let them in the yard. But the cows and occasionally the donkeys, I will run through the yard to kind of help reduce my mowing obligations. There's the cows. They're not too far away here on this afternoon. So if you look out here across a couple of these pastures anyway, you can see that the grass is starting to green back up. I haven't really talked about grazing or anything like that in a while. The weather has not been that favorable, at least for grazing, since about the middle of summer. We've gone a couple months here with very little rain. We did have a really heavy rain event, I guess you'd say, 3-4 weeks ago, something like that, if I'm keeping my dates right in my head. And that kind of caused things to green back up a little bit. But with things being a little bit dry, I ended up having to feed at least a couple bales of hay to kind of bridge the gap, stretch things out here. But there's not a whole lot of grass, honestly, growing, actively growing. Or there hasn't been a lot of grass actively growing as of late. We got the cows in this paddock right here. We're going to try to call them up to the yard. Come on, cows. Come on, cows. Come on, babies. Come on, cows. Come on. So about, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago, we AI'd them, and they went through this whole process of being pinned up and worked and let back out. And so I think they're just a little hesitant to follow me right now. I think I've ruined any goodwill I have with them. Like I said, after pinning them up and working them so many times here recently. Come on, cows. Yeah, I don't know what you're laughing at. Oh, good. I'm teaching your son your behavior. That's nice. That's nice. Like father, like son. So while we wait for the cows to decide whether or not they're gonna come up here closer to the yard, we'll move on to what I was gonna have in the second part of this video. So this is the pasture that I seeded and rolled in a recent video, and you probably can't tell it looking at it here on your screen, whatever you're watching it on, watching this video on. But we have got some grass growing out here. If you look and your eye catches it just right, there's a lot of little fine green hairs coming up out of this pasture. Just like those, for instance. And all of these. And there's more over there, down there, over here, back up along that hillside right there. And then this little low spot right here that seems to retain moisture fairly well. There's a nice little patch of grass starting to grow here. So again, what I've got growing out here is endophyte free fescue, perennial ryegrass, hold orchard grass, and timothy, along with a bit of mammoth red clover and royal ladino white clover. So no matter what you are doing, it seems like there's a difference of opinion about which is the best way to go about it. And planting pasture is absolutely no different. It is October. I planted this pasture in October, and there are a lot of folks who have asked me, there's been different people ask the question, well, why didn't you do this in the spring? Wouldn't it be better to plant it in the spring and then have the entire growing season to get the pasture established? And you know, honestly, for some folks, that is the best way to do things. For others, doing what I've done, planting in the fall, is the best way to go about it. There's a reason that I chose to plant this in the fall instead of in the spring, and that reason is that the pasture will get established better by doing it this way, at least in my location. And oftentimes it seems like that is what people forget about, that not every location is exactly the same. Not every part of the country has the same climate, the same conditions for growing. For us, here in October, you know, we're still a few weeks away from a frost. And even after we get a frost, the seeds that I have planted out here, they will continue to germinate. So long as the ground stays 40 degrees or above, the grass will germinate and grow. Now, it may not grow all that fast, but it will grow fast enough that these grasses, these plants, will be able to put down roots. Then whenever the winter comes along and it gets really cold, everything will go dormant just before it all wakes back up in the spring. Now, like I said, in the fall, we have plenty of growing time because where I live here in southern Missouri, we have all four seasons. We experience spring, summer, winter, or fall and winter. We experience all four seasons, and one of the best seasons for getting grass pasture established is the fall. Our summers tend to be hot and dry, and so if you plant something in the spring, there's a good chance that if things turn off hot and dry, basically you're going to scorch everything out here before it really has a very good opportunity to get all that well established. And there's been lots of folks who have experienced that. They plant in the spring and the summer comes along and it burns everything up. By planting this pasture in the fall, as I have, I am giving everything a head start. Whenever spring comes along, that spring flush will hit all of these grasses and clovers that I've planted out here, and they will shoot off like a rocket because of the head start that they have. And that will also allow them to get out in front of some of the weeds that are absolutely going to sprout up out here in the spring as well. But if you are a little bit farther to the north than I am, chances are that a spring planting is what's best for you. Maybe your summers are not as hot and dry as ours are. And so your grasses, they will establish very well over the spring and the summer months. And then whenever they go dormant in the fall, they'll wake back up in the spring and do very well, right? You'll have an established pasture at that point. The whole point I'm trying to make here is that if you're going to do something like this, that you need to think about what kind of conditions you're operating in. it's not going to be the same in every single location. It's not going to be the same from one place to the next. You have to figure out what works best for whatever your situation is. And you know, one other thing that I want to mention while I'm on the subject of this pasture here is that all of this kind of stuff takes time. This honestly, working up this pasture and doing what I've done this year, trying to reestablish some good quality forage and potentially developing a hay field out here. This has been a long time coming. It's something that I've had in my mind for at least a few years, and I've kind of been planning for and working up toward over the last 2 years especially. The idea is to eventually get the whole property done. I would love to do that in successive years and you know, move from one to the next. And my thought is that over the next 3-4 years I should be able to do the whole place, get everything reseeded and pastures all completely reestablished, so that, you know, we've got a much better forage production or forage quality on the farm going forward, and that will allow us to increase our carrying capacity with cattle, because we've got a lot of weedy, poor forages on the property as it is right now, and so, you know, that leaves a lot of gaps. There's a lot to be desired, I guess, so to speak. But that reduces our carrying capacity, which reduces our overall opportunity and ability to make money, make a profit. But the point that I'm trying to make is that this kind of stuff, it all takes time. So, you know, if you're one of those folks, if you're just getting started, don't get discouraged. Understand that it does take time. Well, I guess I'll just share with you. My wife and I were going over some financials to this point so far in the year, and you know, here we are in October, and the farm has broke even for the year to this point, which is, to us, that's incredible. We've spent a lot of money over the last couple years really trying to get things established. We've built fences, we've built cross fences, we've put a lot of money into infrastructure, we've bought equipment, we've bought well, just a couple videos ago I showed you my my new tractor. You know, we've bought things that are going to make production on the farm easier, try to smooth some of these transitions that we're making, and make things easier going forward, make it easier for us to make a profit. And so to be at this point, you know, in October, and saying, you know, here we are, and we've broke even for the year, and we've got all of our major expenses covered, and we've even thrown in, you know, I guess you'd call it a luxury here and there. That really is a really good feeling, and to know that we are, you know, we are kind of at the point, or we feel like we're at the point where we're about to make it over the hill, and hopefully get to a point where we're more profitable than not. Again, it really is a very exciting feeling, but it didn't happen overnight. You know, it's not one of those things that just happened at the snap of a finger. You know, we've got a few years into this whole process, into this project, and like I said, it's nice to see it finally paying off. Well, it looks like some of the cows have gone to the pond, which that explains why they didn't come up here closer to the house. They have full bellies, so they're really not interested in grazing the yard. So in that case, I guess we'll just let the donkeys out. Come here, donkeys. Come here, Charles. Come here, Bella. Come here, donkeys. So I don't show Charles and Bella on here very much, and Dash is the little donkey's name, but this is Bella, or Jenny, and this is Charles. Well, hello, buddy. What do you say, dude? What do you say, dude? All right. Yeah, they'll follow me. Uh-oh. And the goats are on their way. They can't be left out, or have the feeling that they're being left out anyway. Make your way out. Make your way out. Good deal. I honestly cannot believe it went like that. I would have thought for sure that these goats would have been up here running, trying to get through that gate. Donkeys, enjoy. The cow's loss is your gain. Well, I guess in this video I've showed just about everything except for the pigs, so I may as well come over here and talk about them for a second at least. So here we are. These are the pigs. They all like to come over here and lay down by this little gate. These are a group of feeder pigs. My last group of feeder pigs. I sold my my breeding pair. I had a boar and a sow. Sold them just a couple months ago. I try to talk over the pig noise here. But I sold them just a couple months ago. And you know, I've been rolling it around in my head here. I can't seem to make up my mind what I want to do, what I feel like, you know, is the best thing going forward with pigs. I keep thinking that I want to get more breeding stock and raise my own piglets. But then, you know, I'm looking at, like I said earlier, I'm looking at the financials of the farm. Sometimes it does good to just kind of take a detached view of things. I think I've mentioned in other videos that, you know, if you're going to raise pigs, you got to like pigs, because pigs can be difficult, they can be frustrating. And that's one of the reasons that I raise pigs, is I like pigs. I really do. I really do enjoy raising hogs. But if I detach, you know, my emotions from it, honestly, for the business that I'm doing, or the amount of business that I'm doing, probably having my own breeding stock is not the best thing for me right now. The best thing going forward, honestly, would probably be just to buy feeder pigs. And so, you know, after going back and forth and struggling to make up my mind, I feel like the financial review that we did today really helped me get an idea about what I need to be doing going forward, at least for the next year or two. And so so I've decided, I guess is what I'm trying to say at this point, we're just going to buy feeder pigs and raise what we have here. All of these pigs are basically spoken for. And so then, I guess next spring, you know, these pigs should be ready to move along to their forever homes, if you want to call it that. You catch my drift there. These pigs will be ready to move on down the road here in the next couple months, hopefully. So, if not a couple of them, you know, going before that, but they'll be ready to move along. We'll be able to restock our freezer for the farmer's market. And I guess I won't have to mess with pigs over the winter, which it's been a long time since I've not had to deal with pigs over the winter. It'll give me an opportunity to clean up some more of this and try to get my pig pasture better organized, better established for the next group of pigs that we will likely bring in the spring. So I guess after a good bit of rambling, you know, this, that, and the other in this video, we've covered a lot of ground, I guess. That'll be it for this one. So as always, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. What do you say, donkeys? What do you say? Huh? What'd you say? What do you say? What do you say? Huh? What do you say?